Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to keep today's video short. It is Sunday, November 3rd, 2024, and people have been emailing me all weekend long about sales being insanely slow, not just on eBay, but on other platforms. And I did a video about a week ago regarding the election and the effect that the election, which we are just under 48 hours away from the first polls closing and the results coming in Tuesday night around 7, 8 o'clock. Some of the first results will start coming in. I'm recording this almost 6 p.m. here on the East Coast. So we are just about 48 hours away from that. So there are three things happening that are causing slow sales right now. And I want to address these three because there's only one of them that you can do anything about. And I'm going to tell you how you can do something about it, how you can fix it, and at least give yourself a fighting chance. So there is no doubt about it, sales are slow. There are always going to be people who have good sales, who have numbers coming in that are above average. So there's people that maybe just got started and they only had a few sales and now they're really pushing and their sales are jumping up. Well, of course they are, because they're actually putting work into it, right? There are people who sell specific items that sell during this time of year, that only sell during this time of year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, seasonal stuff. So they might be doing pretty well. And there's always going to be some folks doing well, but we go by majority, we go by the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, if you go into Facebook groups, you go into social media, Instagram, TikTok, etc., you will see that the large majority, and I'm talking 80, 90% of all the posts regarding what somebody's sales are, is negative. If I go into my Facebook group, Thrifter Reseller World, right now, and I put up a poll that says, how many people's sales are lower than usual, lower than last fourth quarter, lower than the rest of the year, about the same or higher than, I guarantee the poll results are going to lean 80% higher for the sales being down than they will be for the sales being up. It's probably going to be like 80%, 10%, 10%. That would be my guess. About 10, 20%, maybe about the same, and 10, 20%, lower sales. And I would guess the minimum would be somewhere in the 70s, if not as close to 80% as possible for sales being low. So that's just a fact. I've already polled lots of people and I get tons of emails. So I can say that with the utmost confidence. So three things. Number one, the economy. The economy is not strong. No matter what you see on TV, no matter what politicians tell you from either side of the table, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, the economy is not in a good place. Yes, there are always people that are buying Lamborghinis. There are always people who are making money. There are always, celebrities and football players and rich people getting contracts and people going to football games who are six-figure earners who are still doing well. The upper majority, again, of the economy, of the middle class, of the lower class, of people in this country, that's why we call it the 99% and the 1%, I would say about 90% of America is not in a position to go to football games or frivolously splurge on eBay or Amazon hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. They might be able to buy a pair of shoes here, dress there, purchase things that they need, and do that and whatnot, but they're not just blowing money. They're not racing over to the internet and saying, what can I spend today? Going on shopping sprees. The majority. Of course, there are always people who will be able to do it. I've got friends that make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month. They're constantly getting 10 Amazon packages delivered a day. I've got friends that make millions of dollars who just, in the last 3 years have bought 3 houses, a new RV, boats, cars. They're constantly trading cars on vacations. They've been on, 4 or 5 vacations this year, Jamaica, the Bahamas, cruise, Europe. There's always people that are capable of doing this, right? There are people who have a low frugal lifestyle that may live on $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month. And there are people who make, $10,000 or $15,000 a month. So while they're not millionaires and they're not uber rich, they're, $100,000, $120,000 a year people, they live on 40 or 50. So they have 40 or 50 left over. And so they're able to spend money as they please as well. Again, that's not the majority of America. So whatever the government and the politics and politicians are telling you, the economy's not in a good place. The majority of people do not live like that. Number two, we just hit on it, the election. The election is causing a lot of people to be nervous, like super nervous. They're not spending money. They don't know what's going to happen. And I want to make 2 points about this because I think it's silly. I understand it completely because I feel the same way as everybody. It's super nerve-wracking. We don't know what's going to happen. Is there going to be a complete, regardless of who wins, no matter what side of the table you're on, is there going to be, a Republican win? Does Donald Trump win this election and Democrats go crazy and are scared that he's going to do terrible things and, this and that? Or do the Democrats win and the Republicans have some sort of repeat of last time, and then but way worse, and things go crazy, and there's a contentious fight and civil war, not literally but figuratively, you guys know what I mean. There's so many things that could happen. So I want to touch on this in two different ways. First of all, regardless of who wins, who gets put in office, remember they don't take office until January. So on Tuesday night, even if we have a winner, or Wednesday or Thursday or whatever day it is, nothing's going to happen immediately, right? Like nobody takes office. There's not going to be any new laws. There's not going to be new policies. Nobody takes office till January. Second of all, even when we get those results and we know who's won, we don't know what they're actually going to do. Politicians lie. Like, I know, newsflash, politicians lie. What they tell us on the campaign trail is not necessarily what they will do. And even if they do stick to what they do, it doesn't mean that those policies and those changes are going to be so drastic that we're going to feel this instant World War III effect on our entire business and personal finances and destruction of the economy, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. And even, if they did something drastic, again, it wouldn't be till after January. So that's kind of those 2 points. The third one I can kind of touch on is that, again, no matter who wins and no matter what policies they implement, and no matter, even when January comes, a lot of the rules and laws and policies that they put in take time. They have to get them passed. They have to get them past the Senate, the House, that whole spiel. And then those have to become, signed into law. And then again, those policies take time to actually have effect on the economy and what happens. So it could be 6 months, a year before anything from whoever gets elected becomes any sort of effect on your life personally, financially, or business. So keep that in mind. The world's not going to come to an end Tuesday night, no matter who wins or loses. Now, with that said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, when there's an official announcement of the winner, there could be a lot of civil unrest. And in fact, I anticipate, regardless of the winner, that there is going to be a boatload, please screenshot, record this video, a boatload of civil unrest from either side. Unfortunately, that's the country we live in. Neither side wants the other side to win. Neither side believes the other side's going to win. And neither side is going to be okay with the other side winning should they lose. So there is going to be a monumental amount of civil unrest, which causes the stock markets to go crazy, which causes businesses to go crazy. There could be a short-term civil unrest effect on this economy. And what that means for us, food-wise, groceries, cars, toilet paper, who knows, right? We don't know. And we've never been in a position. I don't think we've ever had an election this important. Remember back in 2020, COVID time, that election was very contentious, obviously. There was a lot of things that came out of it, but we never had an election at the level that we are about to have one now, even 2020. 2016, while it was, competitive and while things happened, it wasn't all that in a bag of chips, right? Like, it wasn't like end of times world changing monumental election. 2020 was definitely that boiling point, right? Like that tipping point. And 2024, unfortunately, I think is the powder keg. And I'm scared to see what's going to happen. I don't want to panic people, but there's definitely going to be some level of unrest. And what short-term effects it has is soon to be seen. Well, there may be a result Tuesday. I don't think so. I think we won't find out anything till at least Wednesday or Thursday. Could be as close to the weekend. We'll have to wait and see. Unless there's some kind of surprise blowout in some states, which I don't anticipate. So the third thing, let's finish this video up with the third thing that's causing these slow sales. We've covered the economy, we've covered the election. And the third thing is people failing to use eBay in the way that eBay is meant to be used. And I want people who have worked with me, if you've worked with me on your store and your reviews and your audits, or you've emailed me, asked questions, asked for suggestions, and I've given them to you, please comment down below. You know who you are. People are not doing the things that eBay requires. eBay used to be a platform where you could set it and forget it. Like, list it, and the more you listed, the more you would sell. And that's still true. Like, that's still the point. List, cliche, I get it. But you have to actually work eBay. Like, in addition to just listing items and obviously listing good items at good prices, you have to run sales. You have to promote in a lot of categories. Unless your item is a unique item or something that sells itself, like an iPhone 16 or something like that, video games, vintage shirts, you've got to promote a majority of the categories on eBay, or you're just going to be in a saturated, done market, and you're not going to get any kind of traction. You've got to run those sales in your store. You've got to give buyers a reason to buy from you and not someone else. You've got to use the right keywords and titles. You got to make sure those titles get those people into you. You got to make sure you're doing fast handling time. In a world where people are used to getting things delivered in 2 days, I got all this stuff delivered in 2 days. I'm going to talk to you about this in just a second as well. If your handling time says this seller doesn't even ship for 3 days, and then it has to arrive to you, well, that buyer's gonna go, oh my God, he doesn't ship for 3 days. It's gonna take 3 or 4 days to get here. It's gonna be a week. I'm just gonna go to Amazon and get a 2-day Prime, right? That's a lot of mindsets of a lot of buyers. Now, even if you ship into 1 day or 2 day, if you have your settings set to 3 day, that's what the buyer sees. This is something that a lot of my clients don't understand when they come to me, and then I teach them and they're like, it makes sense. They're like, well, yeah, it's set to 3 day, but I always ship the next day. Well, that's fine and that's great, but your buyer doesn't see that. Now, if you can't ship every day and you're gonna be late, that's a no-no, you'll lose your account. But if you are capable of doing 1 day handling, obviously that's the best. You don't have to do same day, that's unnecessary. Although it's great, it's unnecessary. 1 day is fine. But that's just one of the tips and tricks that I work with my sellers on, is that it doesn't matter what you ship, how fast you ship. It matters what you put in that handling box, because that's what the buyer sees. And that's what's important. So, there's a lot of features and a lot of policies that eBay has, and a lot of things that you have to do, condition boxes and promos and marketing and specifics, that a lot of sellers, 90% of the sellers that come to me, 95% actually, there's only been a few that haven't, are not using. And so if you are not using eBay the way it was intended, you are only hurting yourself. You're not going to make sales. And so that's where I come in. If you want to work with me, you want me to audit and review it, I'm happy to do that for you. Email me, rockstarflipper@gmail.com, and I'll get you the info. You can't affect the economy. You can't change the economy. I can't change the economy. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't change the election, sadly, unfortunately. The election's going to go the way the election's going to go. There's nothing we can do about that, right? So those two things are out of the ballpark. The only thing you can do to help yourself is to work eBay the way it's meant to be worked, and the way that you have to work it. And things change. eBay didn't used to be this way, and eBay may not be this way in the future. We'll have to see. But right now, you got to take advantage of all the features and tools that eBay gives you to maximize those potential buyers, those views, those impressions, and eventually those sales. So that is where we at. That's the story of the weekend, the story of last week, the story of probably this week. Don't expect it to get any better this week, guys. Like I said, short-term results, yeah, we're going to feel some civil unrest and stuff. Long-term, I think we'll be okay. I think after the election, regardless of who wins, I think we'll see a little bit more leveling off. It is fourth quarter. People are going to be Christmas shopping all month. I hope. We'll see. I want to ask you guys your opinion. What do you think of that? What do you think of what I've just said to you, the explanation, the 3 things, the economy, the election? How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about short-term next week and long-term heading into the end of this year? And of course, obviously in January when a new president takes over and the coming 2025. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because I always give you mine here on the channel and I don't get enough time to listen to all of you. So I'd love to read comments and respond to as many as I possibly can. Also, I want to leave you with a parting shot. I'll close this video as quick as possible. If you didn't notice, behind me over my shoulder here, this is a podcasting mic. It's actually called a pod mic. And podcasting headphones, I just purchased these. I actually purchased 4 of each of these, 4 headphones, 4 mics, and 4 boom arms. It's a podcasting bundle. And I purchased what you see here, what is called a Rodecaster Pro 2. This is a mixing board. I know there's a lot of you out there that are probably DJs or sound people or techie guys or girls or whatever that probably recognize this. Essentially, this lets you plug 4 microphones and 4 headphones into it and record 4 separate audio tracks. So you could have 4 people talking. Those of you that watch like the Joe Rogan podcast or the Logan Paul Impulsiveness or, Call Her Daddy or any of these, Ben Shapiro or any of these podcasts probably are familiar with what I'm talking about here. We're going to begin a podcast, a professional, actual, legit equipment, sound, very, very good sounding. I'll let you guys hear the audio in a future video of these mics and of a setup and a backdrop and everything. Now, it's not going to be reseller specific. It's going to be life and business and news and world events and just everything in general. And it's just going to be me and 2 of my neighbors who I'm very close with that are just going to sit down and just talk about what goes on in the world and talk about what happens. And we're going to film this for YouTube. It's going to be a YouTube video, and it's going to have obviously the audio as we just sit down and just talk about it, kind of freeballing it. And then we're also going to take just the audio and upload it to Android, Google Play, the iPhone, iOS store, and Spotify, Stitcher, and Pocket Cast. So it'll be on 5 podcast platforms and on YouTube. So you'll be able to listen to it on all those platforms. We have a really great name for it. I'll let you guys in on that later. And I'll have all the links to YouTube and to all the podcasts as soon as we're finished. We're going to record the first episode here tonight and hopefully get it out tomorrow. And then we're going to record an election day one is the plan, and hopefully 2 to 3 per week as we can keep up with topics. So it's going to be a fun project. I can't wait to do it for you guys, and hopefully, you know, outside of the reselling world, to give you guys sort of something else to listen to, take your brain off of business all the time. Although we will touch on business and talk about it and different things that we want to, you know, mention. But that's the plan, and we, you know, invested quite a bit of money into all this equipment. Again, 4 mics, 4 headphones, 4 arms, 4 of these, sound cables, all this stuff. So it's going to be like an actual studio production. So that'll be cool. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, and I'll give you all the links in a future video. Probably by the end of this week, I'll have it all up. If you don't follow me on Instagram, Rockstarflipper, or on TikTok, Casey Rockstarflipper, I'll also put the links out on there and my Facebook as well. So if you want to find it, look for me on all my social media sites. But I'll leave you guys with that. I can't wait to read your comments about the beginning of this video. As always, you know, work hard, be productive, make money, keep your head up, keep going. Don't worry about all this noise around us, this election crap and all this other stuff. It will get better. This too shall pass, I promise you. But in the meantime, let's do what we can with it. Thank you, as always, for watching. I appreciate it. If you could hit that like button, it means a lot. Give the YouTube algorithm a little help. And subscribe to the channel. Come back and watch future videos, including when I release officially the podcast. It'll be on a different channel, but I'll give you the links to go over there and subscribe to it. I'll see you guys next time.